Viewer discretion is advised. (2052) Atlanta, Georgia. Thing 3. A little girl sits at her coffee table in the family living room. She seems to be extremely focused and organized at the age of 6 as she colored in her coloring book. Dad was sleeping on the rocking chair behind her, and her mom was talking on the phone in nearby the kitchen. It was a large, beautiful home, exceptionally clean and expensively furnished. Among the family portraits, some taken by photographers and some rendered by artists, hangs a large, expensive, original piece of artwork. The family portraits showed a well-to-do Asian American family of 5. Husband, wife, and 3 daughters. The artwork portrayed a family flaunting their wealth in a tacky yet somehow socially acceptable and suitable or expected fashion. Just the 3 of them were in this downstairs common area of their home at the moment. The young girl was, in appreciation, soaking up her current lack of sibling competition for the parental units. "Mommy, Daddy's sleeping. Can I turn my music on?" "No, sweetie. You know how Daddy likes to sleep to that stuff. Put your headphones on." Her eyes lit up at the realization of this wonderful idea her mother just had. She ran across the large living room to another overly sized living room, which seemed to be untouched, as if for show. She looked around and darted to the corner where a massive credenza sat. She opened the drawer and took out a small pair of bright yellow headphones. She put them on and raced back to her work, sitting on the coffee table, awaiting her next crucial decisions. When she got back, she waved at the TV a few times, engaging with the TV's functionality simply by hand motions. She opened a small box on the lower right corner of the screen. Within that box, she scrolled down to her desired first track and pressed play. A smile grew across her face as she plopped down and immediately went back to the work at hand. A children's song emanated softly throughout the living room from the little girl's headphones, but was drowned out by the news coming from the TV. Then, something caught the girl's attention from the screen. "Mommy, that's you," she exclaimed, gesturing at the well-dressed female senator on the screen. Her mother peeked around the corner at the TV. "Yes, Alexa, that's Mommy." She winked and blew her daughter a kiss. Alexa reached up with her hand and pretended to catch the kiss with it and giggled as she pretended to put it in her mouth and swallow it. Again, she put her headphones on, and it was back to work. Suddenly, the conversation Mom was having on the phone went silent, and Dad immediately sat up. There was a loud rumbling coming from over the house as the interior walls shook. 2 teenage girls rushed down the stairs which led to the main foyer. Mom and Dad met the 2 at the bottom of the steps, within reach of the front doors of their home. "What is that?" both girls said at the same time. "I haven't the slightest idea," Dad stated, as he immediately opened the door and walked out onto their porch. There was nothing to see outside. It was dark out, but a soft light washed across the lawn, compliments of their Malibu lighting. The rumbling, however, was louder and directly above their heads. The family walked out toward the street to get a better view as they noticed the residents across from them mirroring their strategy. Suddenly, they were engulfed in a floodlight coming from the police helicopter above. The whipping sounds of the blades made it hard for them to identify the sounds of sirens approaching the house from both ends of their upscale neighborhood street. Several cruisers with sirens blaring raced into their driveway, followed by a large government SUV with black-tinted windows. The back door opened to the SUV. A large black man in a black suit stepped out and away from the vehicle towards the family. "Senator Lee?" He pulled from his inside coat pocket a black wallet and opened it for the family to see. "I am Detective Parks. You and your family are to accompany me and this escort to Hartsfield-Jackson International. You're to be flown to an undisclosed location for you and your family's safety." She looked at her concerned husband in disbelief. Alexa, still happily listening to her headphones, not knowing the chaos her family is being swept up in, could barely hear the news. "Thank you, Senator Lee. We hope to see you back in this space relatively soon with some better news," the reporter said with audible dismay. She looked at the camera and sighed. This virus was spotted in South America nearly 2 decades ago around Ecuador, some sources have told us. It appears to have been covered up not only by the USA, but also the UN has been involved in keeping this from the public. An image appeared at the top right of the screen. It showed what appeared to be a war zone taking place in the US at the hands of rioters. Buildings were burning. Police cars were upside down and vandalized. People everywhere were running and yelling, while some seemed to be chanting and demonstrating. This backlash from the public is violent and disgusting. Many have died from this virus, but many more have died from the... A live news reporter interrupted the broadcast. "Good evening, America. This is Ed Cross with CNN." The screen flashed to a collage of headshot pictures of well-dressed men and women. 7 senators were reported to have been drugged from their homes tonight in a display of retribution for the lies. We regret to report each one of those senators were murdered execution style. As disgusting, repulsive, and grotesque this demonstration is, the lies and deceit coming from Washington and from leaders around the globe causing us to lose millions of loved ones causes everyone. Here at this network, to beg the question, are these actions warranted? The following video was transmitted to our station approximately 1 hour ago. It was sent by one of the groups responsible for the murder of a sitting senator. Please understand that the following video contains unedited violence and an assault on a human life leading to death. This video is not for the young or faint of heart. Alexa, still smiling, and while coloring and listening to her music, looked up at the TV. While she listened to some of her favorite children's music, her smile vanished. A look of confusion and terror swept across her face. Her dad stepped in front of the TV and turned it off. She looked up at him with teary eyes and took off her headphones. "Come with me, Alexa. Everything is going to be okay, but we need to leave." Alexa slept in between Mom and Dad. It was a private chartered jet reserved for government use. Senator Lee stood up and gave her husband a kiss on the cheek. "Keep her close, John." She stepped over the two into the aisleway and walked to a small table in the back. Her two teenage daughters, who were sitting across the aisle from them, watched her go back there and meet 3 men at a small table. It was a small plane, so they kept the meeting to a whisper. Still, John made out some of the indiscernible conversation. "Mrs. Senator, we believe it's both Russia and China cooperating. They have taken over several large military compounds and facilities. They have several nuclear warheads parked on either coast, and they are currently targeted on." The conversation became almost muted in John's head as his eyes widened and witnessed the surreal event taking place outside his window. At first, it looked like an asteroid, but then it dawned on him once it touched the Earth. A bright light flooded the terrain as far as his eyes could see. Soon, a bright yellow and orange fiery light shaped into a mushroom cloud. To his horror, another happened what seemed like 100 or so miles away. He looked back to his wife, who glanced up at him. All the blood had rushed from her face, and she turned very pale. She looked back at him as a tear fell from her eye.